Just put one over for Jack.
Yeah, they'll put on an LED for anyone so you can hear it for those who don't.
Hello, I'd like to welcome you here tonight for the candidates forum. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, there's plenty here. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know the Olympics are on, and that's a big challenge for staff to be here, but I know you all put it to the work to watch Michael Phelps with the gold, and in the meantime, to listen to our candidates. Please come. You're over here.
They said they can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear. How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to have the sheriff's positions first, and as you can see, there is one candidate. When they were invited, Sheriff Bradshaw was the only one who did not respond. The other four candidates confirmed that they would be here, and then one by one they all said that they had conflicts of interest after confirming us first. So that stands for itself. I'll make no more comments on that. For seat 4, no, let's go over to seat 2. For seat 2, Mr. Giordano celebrating his 20th wedding anniversary, so he sent his regrets. I'm sorry, C4, right over there. He sent his regrets, but we all know if you stand up your wife for a cruise, you are in trouble for the next 20 years. So that is why he had to decline. And I understand, I found out just a few minutes ago that Mr. Roberts had some sort of a procedure today. That's all I know about. And Mr. Burnell, I have no clue. He confirmed, but he didn't show up. So with that, I'm going to thank the people. There were a lot of people who were involved in making this happen. And I'd like Mrs. Sandra Love Saman to stand up, please. Thank you so much. She put the ALA in touch with Mr. Tony Francetta, who is putting on this forum tonight. She also is responsible for their water and for these nice cards and for just getting this all together. And then there was Mr. Watkins, who tirelessly put out our brochures for the last 3 or 4 days. He was over at the Publix shopping center, and because the weather was so bad, he didn't want to get into trouble for putting them on the cars. He took them around to all of the businesses and asked them to pass them out at that point. And again, Mr. Tony Francetta graciously agreed to run this because we don't have a clue how to do it. And he had run it for Royal Palm Beach and Wellington for a number of years, along with Mr. Richard Hadwick, who is with him also, will be our moderator. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the experts, and thank you very much. He's entitled to speak to the residents.
Okay, I am Tony Francetta. In my other life, other than coming out here tonight, I'm the state president for the Alliance for Retired Americans. We have about 217,000 members in the state of Florida. We work for Social Security, Medicare, and issues such as that. Years ago, back in the early 90s, I spent 2 3-year terms on the board here, supervising. And I was 2 3-year terms as head of the Acreage Landowners Association. So we see that we have one guy that will get a lot of questions here tonight, and nobody else will shine a brighter candle than him in as much as they decided not to show up, or they made the mistake of not showing up. So I'd like to thank the Landowners Association for putting this together. It's always good for the residents to have the opportunity to make their own minds up based on what they hear, what they see, how they feel, and how they think that the candidates are going to perform.
Our timekeeper is lost. She's trying to find her way. Oh, here.
It won't bother us again. Anyway, Richard is a retired economics professor from the University of Illinois, I believe it was. Yeah. And he's a member of the Alliance for Retired Americans, so he has some questions for the candidates for sheriff that we have tonight, and we will get through those. We have about 5 or 6 questions, time depending. And I think we can get through them all in as much as we only have the one candidate that gave the courtesy of showing up. So Richard, it is yours, and the timekeeper knows the time, and you've been informed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you know what the rules are and so forth.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tony, he can override me, he's my boss, but I'm going to suggest, Mr. Sessa, that we give you a little extra time on all parts of it. You were told that you have 1 minute for an introductory statement. We're going to double that. You've got 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. I'm used to that. That's usually about the typical form when you're running this race. First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Rick Roscoe Sessa. I'm running for Palm Beach County Sheriff. And it's no surprise to me that the incumbent Sheriff Bradshaw is not here because, to tell you the truth, he has not been showing up at many or any candidate forums at all. He did show up at the one we had last week in West Boynton for Cobra, which is a stronghold of his. But other than that, since I entered the race February 22nd, coming to these community forums almost daily, he has not been to any. He refuses to debate me. He knows I'll ask the hard questions. My background is that I grew up here in Palm Beach County, so I care very much about this county. I went all through school here. I policed here in the city of Riviera Beach for over 20 years, where I retired as a police commander. During my last years there, I was the highest ranking officer on the street as a commander from the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. So I was basically the chief of police out there during those nighttime hours, and we had a very busy, extremely busy city, and I was a police manager there. When I retired after a little over 20 years, I started a show, a national talk radio show called The Beat, Real Cop Talk Radio, where I started exposing a lot of the issues here, especially in our backyard and with the sheriff and the sheriff's office. In my opinion, we have an extremely corrupt sheriff, a poor leader who lacks integrity, honesty, trust, all the things we so desperately need here and now. And I thought there are 4 or 5 other forums going on tonight, but I felt this one was the most important because of the issues that I know we have here.
Right on time. All right. Now, the first question overlaps with what you just told us. Let's give you another 2 minutes, Tony, for Rick, for this. Okay, here's the question. What past experience do you have working with law enforcement? You pretty much covered that, but you could elaborate. How do you think your past experience prepared you to run for office? And what advantages do you believe it gives you over the other candidates?
Okay. Riviera Beach is an extremely busy environment. My whole career there, we learned to do more with less, meaning much more with less manpower, less budget than your typical police force.
I was loyal to that city. I believed in it. I liked the challenge. To me, you come into the job of policing because you want to help people, you want to serve and protect, and that's why I went into business when I was just over 19 years old. I was one of 2 of the youngest police officers they ever hired there, and my background ranges from working street-level narcotics for most of my career in an undercover capacity, working my way up to agent, a sergeant, a lieutenant of the narcotics unit, lieutenant and sergeant of the K-9 units. I worked 2 police dogs there for the city. I worked their first narcotics dog, their first cross-trained dog. I managed as a hostage negotiator and a manager of the hostage negotiation team, worked with our special response teams, background investigations, detective investigations, road patrol sergeant, and street road patrol commander during the end of my career. You get a vast amount of experience in Riviera Beach very quick. I feel that I'm a proven leader, and I do, out of all the candidates, I'm the only candidate, this is very important, that has never been suspended and or fired from his police career. And you need to research that, it's public record. And I had an exemplary record the whole time I was there.
Very good. This next question I'm going to read twice because, as you'll see, it's going to take quite a change in your thought process. So I'll give you 2 chances to hear it.
Okay.
How would you explain gun violence to your children? Repeat. How would you explain gun violence to your children? 2 minutes.
Okay, well, I raised a son, he's 26 now, he's an economics PhD finalist at Clemson. And obviously being a police officer, I had many firearms in the house and always safely. And my son likes to shoot now. I took him and I trained him the proper way to use a firearm if he wanted to. But I think with our kids, you know, everything in this world comes down to respect. And respect of firearms. It's a given, they're on the street. We teach them to stay clear of them, to stay clear from somebody pointing the end of a barrel, whether it's a toy or not, at them. As far as violence in our communities, you know, unfortunately, the world we live in, the bad guys are always going to have guns. I am pro-gun. I have the NRA's A rating. Also, the candidate with the A rating, the sheriff has infringed on the Second Amendment many times. And I hope that's a really broad question, but I hope that helps you.
It was indeed broad. Next question. Again, 2 minutes. What problems do you think Palm Beach County faces that may not be as prevalent in other jurisdictions? And can you identify these problems and discuss your plan of action to correct them?
Yes, sir. Our county is imploding right now as a result of the culture of corruption, the cover-ups, the misconduct that the sheriff's been condoning for not only the 12 years he's been a sheriff, but from his days as the West Palm Beach police officer, major, and police chief. And if we don't get a handle on it, if we don't get out here and vote to change it, we're going to have major issues. We could even see this county go near bankruptcy because of the wasteful, mismanaged budget we're seeing. He's asking for a $600 million budget, and your services are 5th worst out of 67 counties in the state of Florida. This is important. We have the 5th worst case solvability record. You can Google that on the Uniform Crime Reports if you need to. The budget is out of control. They want a 1-cent penny sales tax hike to try to cover areas that should have been covered by this county's budget, which this sheriff has been eating up by 60 to 70% of our county-wide budget. We have the highest gas taxes around also as a result, and their property taxes have been raised every year as a result to cover the sheriff's budget. I live with and I assist in taking care of my 99-year-old grandfather who is on fixed income. And I understand very well, even those little 1 penny sales tax hikes and those little $60 a year for $100,000 home value exemption, whatever, every bit counts. And you're not getting the services you need and the coverage you need, and especially here in Acreage, you're not getting the services you deserve. Instead of serving the community, this sheriff has become self-serving to his own cronies and others of influence in our community.
Very good. You're staying right on time. And it turns out that you can have a little more time on that last question because the next question overlaps it. Here it is. Palm Beach County is likely to experience higher crime rates as our county becomes more populated over time. What plans do you have to combat this issue?
Okay, well, not only are we going to experience that, but if you keep this sheriff in office, I can promise you it's going to be even more so. That's because he has imposed on us to be a sanctuary county. We are a sanctuary county. If those of you don't know that or understand what it means in basic terms, we are a refuge for illegal criminal aliens. There's about 250 cities and counties in the country, San Francisco being one of them. We see the crime that happened there. This sheriff supports that. He supports it because Big Sugar supports him, and we know that that's one of the issues affecting it. As far as crime, I know how to suppress crime very well coming from the city of Riviera Beach. And a lot of you may say, well, look at the city of Riviera Beach, it's high crime. Well, we actually reduced that crime by 52% using techniques like cameras in high drug dealing areas. And we always had low manpower on the street, but with this sheriff's office, we can get you more manpower. We're going to do more with less, a lot more, and I know how to suppress crime countywide. We're going to get frontline management that is out here working with teamwork with their people. Your deputies don't want to get out of the car really and do anything for the most part, and that's a shame. It's not that they don't want to, they want to, but they're not supported by the upper echelon and their frontline supervisors who don't really want them doing anything. And we got to change that mentality, and that's what I'm probably best at. I'm not afraid to ask anybody to do anything I wouldn't do. We're going to take back these streets block by block like we lived on them, like a loved one, mother, father, or child lived on these streets. And I'm willing to lead right there with our deputies when I'm able in a green and white.
Thank you. I should make it clear that these questions I'm reading were emailed to us. Only Tony and I have seen them. Some of you may have sent them in, so there is some overlap. And to prove that point, let me read the next question.
I had to get a drink of water.
Have a drink.
That should be 4 others.
In what respects or what aspects do you believe the sheriff's office currently performs well, and which ones need improvement?
Okay, we have some great men and women deputies at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, like I said. We have some good ones in the executive staff command levels. They report to me. I'm running the Cop Talk radio show. You wouldn't believe how much the law enforcement, especially the sheriff's office, confides in me, and they can trust me not to give them up with some of the issues that we have happening. But the bottom line is our leadership at the top is not trustable. When you don't have integrity and honesty at the top, and when your second in command right now, Chief Deputy Gauger, is not speaking with the sheriff from what information we have, they're on very poor speaking terms. His third in command walked out the door a few months ago, retired abruptly. That was Joe Bradshaw, who's no relation to the sheriff, but he was the third in command. There's infighting at the top ranks, from what we know. We've got to change that. I have a transition team of 3 other members that I trust that have over 100 years combined experience with me working Palm Beach County. And you can go to CESAforSheriff.com. Many of you have the cards on it, and research and see their backgrounds.
Just have a drink of water there. We'll, in public, consult. Tony, once we finish as planned with the questions, we'll be finishing early. As parliamentarian, what is your
The bench ruling I'm going to give is, since only one of the deputies running for sheriff showed up,
Not a deputy.
we will take and finish, we will finish that part and spend the additional time we're gaining with the candidates for the Indian Trail. That way you'll be here for the same amount of time and we'll be able to cover more distance than we would have been originally able to cover. I don't think there's any objection to that, and we will allow the officer that may be the next sheriff, who knows, we'll allow him to make a closing statement, give him a little extra time.
Okay, all right. We'll give you another couple of seconds to get that voice going
No,
again.
I'm good now.
Are you good now?
Yeah, sorry about
Okay, we have one last question, and then you get your
Okay.
wrap up. Last question, to what extent do you believe the changing tides of social and cultural issues are affecting law enforcement officers and the ability of the officers to do their jobs effectively across the nation? Now you have to go nationwide. Do you have any plans specifically targeted toward restoring the diminishing sense of public trust in law enforcement?
I do, and a lot of plans, and it's a bit complicated, you know. Across the country, our nation's imploding right now. We have a serious us against them mentality from both sides. It seems like some in law enforcement, the industry itself, and some in the community. We have to bridge those gaps, and the only way we're going to do it is through, you know, working with the community, getting back to community policing, getting back to diversified training. And I've come up with a training program for all the deputies, from the new hires that will actually affect the current ones and supervisors. With something with an acronym that stands for REACH, which is racial, economic, cultural, human diversity. And deputies, we have deputies, I've learned, that have never seen or patrolled our Belgrade, Pahokee, South Bay areas, and deputies that have never patrolled Boca Raton or some of the other areas. And Palm Beach County is so diverse because we have some of the richest people in the world that live here to the poorest. And we have every cultural, ethnic background you could imagine. And I think the only way to start bridging those gaps as far as law enforcement is concerned, we got to get the mentality of trust at the top again, but we have to have field training that will go along, you know, with the right guidance, because like I said, they want to do the job. We want to get our deputies in all the communities, understanding each other, different training officers with various backgrounds. And we want to get in community meetings like this and get to know the people that we work for, that we serve, and especially in the communities we live. You have a lot of deputies that live in the acreage and they have take-home cars, and really, as far as I'm concerned, the crime should be a lot lower than it is if they had the mentality that they truly cared about their community and, you know, were able to not worry about, if I get into something and I'm off duty, am I going to get a hassle from a supervisor? No, we want you to take care of your community, and when you see something, do something.
Very good. So Tony, if I understand your ruling, this finishes the sheriff's part of the forum. Is that correct?
Thank you very much. We appreciate your
Okay, thank you.
indulgence. Thank you for coming
Let's give him
out.
a hand.
Okay, I would ask
I'm
that
going to try to catch a forum in Jupiter Farms that's happening. I want to see those people, so don't think I'm rushing out of here and being disrespectful. But you have my phone number. Call me if you have any questions, okay? Thank you.
I would ask that the Indian Trail candidates situate themselves in a row here, change the name tag. I will move up here.
Tony, did you want to hand some cards out for questions?
Yeah.
Tony will be handing out some cards for questions. We got 0 questions by email, so any questions that will be asked will be.
Those of you, I'm sorry.
No, ready.
Those of you that wish to have a question asked, raise your hands and we'll give you a card.
For those of you who are not aware,
No question,
the first two seats are for ITID seat number 4. So those two candidates will be running against each other, plus Mr. Giordano, who was unable to make it.
Anybody else need a question card?
These two people are running for seat 2. They are running against 2 other people who are not here tonight. Okay? So when you hear their questions, when you hear their answers, Mr. Sayer, Mr. Dunkley are running.
I try not to.
You don't have to.
Excuse me. Hello?
Lily, where's the microphone?
If I could have your attention, please.
Good idea.
Excuse me. Okay. There are 4 people sitting up front, but they're not running against each other necessarily. The first 2 people, that's Ms. Argue and Ms. DeMone, are running for seat 4, along with Mr. Giordano. Mr. Sayer and Mr. Dunkley are running for seat 2. So if you hear their answers, the 4 of them are not running against each other. Is there anyone who's confused? I want to make sure everybody understands that. That even though they're all sitting up on the dais together, they are not running for the same seat.
Lillian,
Yes.
I just want you all to know that Mr. Dunkley and I have to be careful when we're answering questions too, because we're subject to sunshine. So even though he and I are not opponents, I cannot.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right, I think we're ready to go. Anybody else need a pencil or a card to write your question? All right, because we have a little extra time, consulting with the timekeeper, we agreed to give each of the candidates a 3-minute opening statement. They don't have to use that time if they want to show that they can get to the point quickly and without any running around. And with that, we'll begin with Betty Arthur. Betty?
Hi, my name is Betty Argue. I am a 5-year resident of Indian Trail in the Anchorage. I am married. My husband is here somewhere in the audience. There he is there. And I have 3 boys, 2 that are 6 and 8, and a 21-year-old son as well. And since I've lived in the Anchorage, I've become involved in many different ways. Most recently, you would be aware of the No Minto Alerts of PBC. I'm the president of Alerts of PBC. I have been for this year. Last year I was the vice president. I was a founding member and director. I'm also the president of Los Hachicos Elementary School PTO, and last year and this year. And I am also the committee chair for my son's Cub Scout pack, which is Pack 124. In terms of a little bit more about me, I have been advocating for the community, for the diversity that we have in our community. Alert to PBC was never no to everything. We were no to the overdevelopment. And what that means is that we wanted to hold the landowner who purchased the Calgary Judge property, Minto, to what their land use and approval was. That approval was actually what was more consistent with the acreage at 0.08 density. Ultimately, what was approved, we view as being overdevelopment, that it will have a grave impact on our community. It is important to know that the previous approval that Calgary Judge had never did get zoning approval, and neither did it get any kind of permit from Indian Trail to use our roads. Our roads are very important because of the fact that that's what the greatest impact that is going to be felt by every resident in the acreage. We pay for our roads. They are our roads. We, in most cases, own to the middle of the road or own all of the road. That development traffic, there's no requirement for the developers to pay Indian Trail anything for that impact. And the county went and approved a development based on using 2 of our roads, which is very significant because of the fact that it will allow other developers to come through our community. And with that,
Thank you, Betty. Now Michelle DeMont.
Thank you. My name is Michelle DeMont, and I'm a 20-year resident as of this month of the acreage. I raised my children here. They're both grown now, 21 and 24. And I actually have a grandson. I came out here in 1996, and there was hardly any homes. Our roads were not paved. We only had one park, and it was Holful Park. So I started volunteering. I volunteered in PTA in the school. I became a parks advocate, served on the Recreation Advisory Committee, and then I became a board supervisor. I had the pleasure of working with former supervisor Tony Francetta. I learned from some very wise people. I enjoyed having them all as mentors, and I have continued to serve with the same passion I started with in 1996, and I haven't stopped. I have a grandson that I want to raise out here in the acreage with the same parks, schools, and community that my children were raised, so I haven't lost that passion or desire. I have a little different approach than my opponent does on how I deal with development. I'm sorry, but to be aggressive, to say no, is not going to get our community anything. I promise you that. You will end up with the fear that you have with development. So I have developed relationships over the last 20 years, and those are working relationships, they're professional relationships. They simply are, I have the ability to pick up the phone, walk through a door, and have a conversation. I can guarantee you that any developer who has submitted a plan in our area would not view me as passive. I'm quite firm, and I'm firm on the things that I stand and believe in. I do that on behalf of you, not for anything that I need, because I live in the center of the acreage, and very few of these areas impact my home personally. I do it for all of you. To just say that you're going to shut a road down or block a road does absolutely nothing. You'll end up in a gridlock in the morning. That traffic has to go somewhere. You have to have a vision, a plan. You have to be a problem solver in order to serve your constituency. If you all say no to certain roads that Minto or any other developer that wants to develop, guess what? It'll burst at the seam and end up in areas you do not want it. 168 is an option for Minto, straight down to Southern Boulevard. I would not like to see that, but they have every right to do it if they want to. So for me, I'm a firm believer to be respectful, but firm, and to work with those who are going to be our neighbors. And that's something we need to remember. These are going to be our neighbors, folks. I guarantee you some acreage residents are going to sell their home and move into these homes too. They are our neighbors. So I don't want to approach with a no attitude. I want to approach with, these are the things I can live with, and these are the things I cannot live with. And I'll continue to do that. I will support State Road 7 because that's for our public safety, health, and welfare. And I will not vote for anything that infringes on our public safety. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. And thank you for the ALA for having this forum.
Thank you, Michelle. Now Tim Sayre. Tim?
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the ALA, Rick and Tony for taking care of us here and setting this up, and all of you for being here and listening to what we have to say and hopefully learning. You being here means that you want answers. You're here in your own time because you care about the acreage, and you want to make sure I care about the acreage. I've been very involved since I've lived here. I've gotten even more involved in the past 3 to 4 years. I've been involved with many charities out here, many of the nonprofits. I get involved with the ALA. I stepped up to be the vice president of the ALA. Been on the board for the Relay for Life last time to help them with some of the stuff that they planned for that. And I try to stay in touch with the people that I talk to see what's going on. Do I know all of you? No. If I'm on the board, I hope to know all of you, at least so that you can approach me and say, this is what we want to talk to you about, this is what we would like to see, and listen to what you have to say. Right? I think I can bring some leadership. I have a lot from my past. I've met with large corporations, I've negotiated large contracts, I've negotiated small contracts. I've been involved with government entities and dealt with those also. What we need, my opinion is that change is coming. We need to be able to deal with the change. We need people that will deal with the Board of County Commissioners. I'm not saying we have to fight with them, but we need to be able to deal with them. We also need to be able to deal with everything that's brought forward. Things are going to change over time. Everything changes. I understand that, but we need to protect the area the way it is now, in my opinion. This was an equestrian area. I'd like to see it stay as an equestrian area. I'd like to see the trails improved. I want to see the park completed. I know there's opposition to that, but we've put a lot of money into that park. We need to think about our children. Our children are what they're going to do. They need places to play. The AAL is great out in this area. They're going to need more space as more kids move in. They're going to need more areas for them to be able to do stuff. So I appreciate you coming out here. Appreciate you listening to us this evening. I have a website up. It's timsayer.com. It has some of the questions that I've answered on there and some of my thoughts. And if you have any comments or any questions you'd like to ask me, feel free to leave them on there, message me, email me, do whatever you need to do. You can reach out to me through my phone number that's through the ALA, and I'll be happy to talk to you or give you my thoughts on how I feel about things.
Thank you, Tim. And now, Gary Dunkway. Gary?
Thank you for having me here. You guys know me for the past 4 years. My history is, I started out as a debit agent for John Hancock. I'm the guy that when I used to ring your door, you used to make believe you weren't home. After John Hancock, I became Chief of Pari-Mutuel for Biscayne, Hollywood, and Flagler Dog Traps. Chief Inspector, my responsibilities was the overall operation of the track. Over 3,000 employees, which was accountable to me. From that, I realized that I couldn't go no farther, and my family was growing. I started a bail bonds agency. With the bail bonds agency, we grew. We specialized in pickups, bounty hunting, all over the country, and people say it's a hard job, but it's really a problem-solving job. It's a puzzle, like life. It's a game. You have to put things together. I'm also a private investigator. I moved out here 15 years ago with my children and my horses. Before I moved out here, I read what they call the sector plan, and it was a guideline for the future of this place. And I liked the open spaces. I liked the idea of living on wells. I liked the idea of privacy. Coming from Broward County, you didn't get much privacy. They have this thing that they call zero lot line, where you can pay $500,000 to $300,000 to hear your neighbors argue. Sorry, Not you, sorry. How many of you are parents? Okay. So you'll understand what I did, why this is important. This is my other half here, Norma. Stand up, Norma. The love of my life. I will never be a godfather to anyone's child again. Between her and I, we've raised 13 kids. No, they're not all mine. I call myself, I found out the hard way, but God.
Thank you, Gary. We're going to give you a chance to answer the first question just to make up for that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. This is going to be a toss-up. You have 10 seconds to answer this question. Are you ready? Feeds right into your comment about knocking on doors and people pretending they're not home. But this is the reverse. How much time per month will you spend on ITID business?
You know, when I first,
10 seconds.
it's a 24/7 job. I thought it was only once a month, but it's not. It's 24/7. I've been to Tallahassee, I've been all over the place for ITID.
Okay. Tim.
I assume, like Gary does, it's 24/7, you're constantly thinking about it. I'm sure there'll be many more hours than I even imagine I'll have to put into this job if I'm elected.
Okay. Michelle.
I agree, but I'm not going to repeat the same thing. Honestly, it's a daily thing, even on weekends. And if you had to put it all together, it's probably honestly a good 15 hours. But there are weeks where there's more. There's a few weeks when it's less. But it's definitely 24/7 when you have to answer the call of residents. I always respond quickly.
Betty.
I agree, it's a 24/7. I don't think I'll see a whole lot of change because I already participate in a lot of the meetings. I go to the county meetings, I go to the ITID meetings, sometimes I go to the ELA meetings, so I think, I'll definitely have to put a little bit more, but it's
Okay. And it looks like we're going to go with 2 minutes for each response coming up. There are not that many questions, so we'll be out of here sooner than you probably planned. We mix up who starts and finishes. This time we'll go Tim, Michelle, Betty, and finally Gary. Here is the question. Would you consider incorporation, and why or why not?
I am considering incorporation. I actually helped start the plan committee. I was the first president of it. I stepped down so Brett Taylor could step up to be the president. I was asked to be the treasurer. I stepped down because I felt there might be a conflict of interest while I was running for the board. I am not positive that incorporation is the best thing for the area, but right now I feel it is. I have not seen the feasibility study. That's an important part of incorporation. I have not seen the charter that they're going to propose either. The feasibility study will tell us how much money we will bring in from the county and all sorts of different benefits that we can get from them. Road taxes, utility stuff, part of the ones in the sales tax, all kinds of revenue sharing that's available. The last feasibility study, from what it said that we would get $18 million a year from the county, which is a good chunk of change. It still costs money to have another layer of government. So with that said, we need to figure it out. We need to figure out where we're at. If more than 50% of the residents want the incorporation, that's how it will be, because it has to be voted on. And if the residents move forward with their grassroots movement, put it on the ballot, and they say that they want incorporation, then I'm going to go for it. Presently, I will say that I am for incorporation, but I need to see the numbers and I need to see where we will be with that and make sure that the charter is written correctly so it's strong, so that a board that gets up here that doesn't believe this should be an equestrian, rural area as it is now cannot make the changes that we don't want made out here.
Thank you, Tim. Michelle.
Thank you. In 2002, the same situation that you see today, before the recession occurred, there was developers who all submitted their development plans, And I supported incorporation then because honestly, you want to control your own destiny. You don't want the surrounding communities to control you. And it was for the exact same reasons, as to protect our open spaces. It was protect equestrian, our residential, agricultural, etc. And so now here we are, we survived the recession, developers are now resubmitting in their plans, and you're in the exact same situation we were in 2002. So I'm a firm believer in supporting the people's right to seek incorporation. I, like Mr. Sayer, agree that I would want to see the feasibility study, because at the end of the day, the numbers matter. It's, you know, it's business. It's a business decision when you get down to the feasibility study. And so with, you know, without seeing that, I couldn't say that I'm 110% for sure for incorporation, but I'm 110% positive in seeking it. I think that it's the most responsible thing this community can do in this moment in time is to investigate it. And, you know, I applaud Mr. Taylor, Mr. Sayer, and even Lillian and some of the others who started the process. It was brave, because back in 2002, trust me, we got beat up harder for pursuing it than they are today. But it would be irresponsible for our community to at least not pursue and seek the data that we need to make that decision.
Very good. Thank you, Michelle. Betty?
I personally am not in favor of incorporation. I haven't seen anything that suggests that it's going to be good for us. However, I've kept an open mind, and I would like to see the feasibility study. I also think that the proposed charter would be very important. The preserve and protect, or preserve the lifestyles in the acreage, can mean a lot of different things to different people. I think everybody here in this room would have a different opinion about what that is. The one thing that we currently have under the comprehensive plan is the protections built in for our lifestyles that we bought out here, our assets. And in the ULDC, we're protected. So any incorporation, any municipality, any of those charter ideas would need to protect those things in order to have my support. I'm not, the main reason why I'm not in favor of incorporation at this point is the fact that it would create another level of government. And if Indian Trail was no longer going to exist, or if it was going to be dependent on the municipality, then I think that you could alleviate some of the administration costs. But already Indian Trail has a budget of almost $15 million. And there have been a lot of things in the budget that have been kicked down the road that are going to be very expensive in the next 5 years. And when you add incorporation to that, it's just a whole other level of taxation that I don't think, personally, I don't want. I don't want to be paying more taxes. So I have to see something that says that it's actually worthwhile, that we're going to get something for paying those additional taxes.
Thank you, Betty. And finally you, Gary.
Incorporation. You know, when I came out to the acreage, I built my home. And to build a home, you need a solid foundation. Right now, Indian Trail does not have a solid foundation. Our infrastructure has been decaying and for decades has been neglected. We have to have a strategy to putting our community back together. We have things looming, the water issue, overdevelopment, growth. And I think we have to set ourselves on a solid foundation. And when I see a feasibility, if the people want to incorporate, well and good, I'll go along with it after I see the feasibility study. But I'm single focused. We still, whether we are incorporated or not, we got roads, we have drainage, we have issues that we have to deal with, whether we're incorporated or not. And that's what I want to focus on. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Gary. Next question is a little bit of an overlap with the preceding one, so we'll only give you 1 minute to respond to this. I think this will work all right. Michelle, we will start with you. The question is, how important is it to maintain this as an equestrian area and the trails?
You know, when I arrived here in '96, I never really had anything to do with horses or participated in horses other than, I think, $2 plane rides when I was a kid that my grandfather used to put me on. But my little 1-year-old daughter used to sit in the back patio as she swam in her little pool, and she'd see a horsey go by, and she'd say, "Mommy, there's a horsey." And then next thing you know, when she was in preschool, her best friend had horses, and the next thing you know, I think by 1st or 2nd grade, I was building a barn. We had horses, and my daughter became a national professional rider. One of the most talented young ladies I've ever seen ride a horse. And so, I have, as a mother, seen my daughter become the best woman she possibly could be because she had horses in her life. Because she got up every morning and she went out to feed the horses, she went out to clean the horses, to care for them, and she's just a better young lady because of horses. And if we didn't have that distinction here in the acreage, she wouldn't be the young lady I see today. And so I support our equestrian community.
Thank you. Betty?
I support our equestrian community, and I believe that not enough has been done for our equestrian community. I think that there's many different levels to equestrian. We have a horse park that's been developed. It allows for, practicing for some shows, and the Acreage Horsemen's Association has hosted some shows, and I think that that's important. That's one aspect of it. However, I have met a lot of people who don't feel safe getting on their horse and riding in our community anymore because it just simply, people have no respect. They speed down our roads. They don't know that when you see someone riding a horse that you need to slow down. And so I think we need to do a better job. I think we need to have more signage that actually educates people on what it means to be an equestrian community, because that's what we are.
Thank you. Gary?
It's funny. Growing up, I used to hate horses. At my grandfather's house, he used to make me shovel doo-doo. I used to think I'm on vacation. I don't want to deal with horses. He was a third-grade breeder, and he used to race horses at Cambridge Park in Jamaica. So, let's fast forward. Growing up, when I was the bounty hunter, going home to deal with the kids or going to the stable to feed the horses, I preferred to feed the horses. It was a sense of tranquility where I would have to take a half an hour out my day, every day, to go and tend to my horses. One of the main reasons I moved up here is because of horses. In Broward, it ran out of places to stable your horses. I used to trail my horse to Dupree Park, Corbett Park.
And thank you, Gary. Very good. Tim?
My experience with horses kind of mirrors Michelle's. I had horses when I was younger. Then I moved on, I went to college, couldn't keep them anymore, and found a fine family for them. My daughter was 7 years old and begged me for a horse, so we got her a horse. She grew up with a horse. I think that it rounded her out as a person. I am in favor of having this as an equestrian community. That's part of the reason we moved here. It got scarier for her to ride the older she got because there was more and more building going on. She said there was less and less trails to ride on, less places to ride. I think we need to make sure that we have the trails out here for the kids, the adults, everybody to use. It's part of a park system, in my opinion. I am for keeping it the way it is, and I think that she wouldn't be the girl she is if she hadn't had that horse during her lifetime.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Next question, we start with you, don't we, Betty?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want 2 or 1 minute for this?
Let's make this, this is a 2-minute question. You'll see why. How can we save money? Your Indian Trail Improvement District taxes are too high. Ready?
Well, I see lots of waste and abuse when I look at the numbers every month in the budget. I am in favor of parks. I believe that our park system needs to be improved with trails and But I think spending $3.8 million to only have piles of dirt showing for it is irresponsible, and I can't figure out how we ended up there. I think as a board, you have an obligation to actually keep a very close and watchful eye when you have a contract, that you hold the contractor to completing what he was hired to do, what he was chosen to do. And when that doesn't happen, then you've got a problem. And somehow we've ended up at a place where almost $4 million has been spent. The park is not finished. It needs to be completed. We have another contract for $3.4 million to complete that park. And there is nothing special about that park. I just can't figure out how you end up at that amount of money being spent on a park and not have anything spectacular. Seems to me the numbers were close to what it would have cost to build a community center, so we might as well have spent the money on that after all. So I think that we have to keep a very watchful eye on the contracts that we have. That's one example. I think that we need to take a look at where we're spending money with respect to equipment. I think we need to be responsible with respect to traffic calming and where we're spending money, how we're spending it. We shouldn't be building traffic calming on top of crumbling infrastructure. If you're going to do the job, do it properly and completely. I was by the, anyway, thank you.
You're learning from Gary. Gary, how about that?
Well,
Taxes.
can you repeat the question, please, one more time?
Our taxes are too high. What do you recommend about it? What do you think should be done about that?
It reminds me of that presidential candidate said, rent too damn high. You know, when I got on the board, it takes one paradigm to change the whole focus of the board. The focus of the board was parks initially. And I look at things and I evaluate. We have to come up with a strategy to deal with this pending growth in the acreage. But we have to reorganize. The way it was organized, it was back in 20 years ago. Things have changed. We have a lot of wasted projects. Part of our strategy, we have to narrow down our focus. Our engineer, Jay Ford, pointed out that our infrastructure will need approximately $1 million a year to get up to specs. Jay is 70 years old. We don't have much time. I don't know how long he's going to live, but we have to stay focused. But we also have to reorganize and make people be accountable. There's projects out here that were supposed to cost $15,000, end up costing $50,000 without any type of accountability. There's projects that we start are missing $3 million on the community park, and all we see is dirt. There has to be some type of accountability. Before there was people here that wasn't qualified to do what they were doing. And we have a lot of catching up to do. I'm sorry, you know, this is the way I see it, and thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
I'm getting close to this now.
Tim?
Question was, how can we save money on taxes? Where we currently are, we need to take line by line what we're spending in the budget. I'm attempting to do that and have asked for some information under the Freedom of Information Act from ITID. I don't have all of the answers at this point. I do know that I've heard there's been money wasted and different things. The other thing is we need to get grants. I know that they just applied for a $500,000 grant for the park. If they get all the grants, that'll bring our costs down to approximately $1.2 million, which is still a lot of money. But again, I think we need to finish it. The other thing we need to do is when we look